Hi, hello there, and welcome back to STEAM with Steve. Today we're going to go through how to find the highest common factor between two separate terms. So let's jump on in. So the highest common factor, like I just said, is basically you'll have two separate individual terms, and you're going to try and find what's the biggest number that can come out of both of those numbers. So let's jump on in. So coming back to the algebra we've just covered before, if we were to expand this, basically we're timesing each of these two separate terms inside here by the 8 out the front. So 8 times b, which would then give us 8b, and then we would go 8 times negative 2, which then would give us negative 16. So that's the way that we expand. Now, when we go backwards, we're going to have to use a thing called the highest common factor to try and factorize it and find common terms that are in both of those. So to do that, when we expand, we're going this way, but then when we're going backwards, we're factorizing. And hopefully you've picked up the highest common factor of 8b and negative 16 is the 8. That's why it was out the front. And the highest common factor is just that number. So we're looking at both these two separate terms, and 8 can go into both of those numbers. So the learning intentions that we have for today is understanding the concept of prime numbers and the Sieve of Eratosthenes. I always get that wrong, but we'll go there. And then learn how to find the highest common factor using different methods. So to use the sieve, basically what he did, and this was done 2,000 years ago, he basically worked out a way of working out any number, whether or not it's prime or not. And basically it works like this. You're looking at the numbers before it that were prime numbers and seeing if they can divide into the number that you're investigating. So let's go through and see how he did it. So what are the first 5 prime numbers? Well, hopefully you remember this. They're 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. Now, if you remember these numbers off by heart, you will always be able to find the highest common factor pretty much up to 100, which is really, really useful. So prime numbers, when we think about them, they're numbers that have no times tables that are equal to them. So for example, obviously 1 times the number. So 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, and 17, and so on. Whereas you have a composite number, they're numbers that are times tables that are equal to. So they're composed of prime numbers. So 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, all these different numbers, you can use times tables to find the answer to get to them. So what is a sieve? Basically, it's a way of filtering out something. So it's a tool or mesh with holes inside of it that separates small items from bigger items. So for example, you use a sieve to separate water from pasta when you're cooking. And in math, the sieve is used to sort out the numbers and find out and rip out those prime numbers from the non-prime ones. So how does it work? Well, it's pretty simple. Basically, if you've got your 2 times tables, straight away, they're composite numbers. So 2 is a prime number, but everything else is a composite that has the 2 times tables in it. So for example, in this case, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, anything that was an even number, straight away, not a prime numbers. And that's a really interesting thing because straight away, just with that first prime number, you have all the different options that you could have done. So the sieve is basically a simple algorithm that finds all the prime numbers up to a certain point. So we're going to go through and find all those ones first. Then we block out all the 3 times tables. So that's the next one that we would do. And then as soon as it's the 3 times tables, we cross it out. So for example, 6 is already crossed out, so we don't have to worry about that. But 9 is, so we can cross that one out. Then 15, 21, 27, 33, 38, and so on. And then once that's been done, with all the 3 times tables being ripped out, you can then block out all the 5 times tables. So 5, 25 would go, 35, 55, 65, 85, and that 95. So that's all gone. Then we do the 7s, which would give you 49, and so on. And that's a pretty simple way of blocking them out. So 11, 13, 17, 23, 29, 31, 37, 41, 43, 47, 53, 59, 61, 67, and so on are those first sort of prime numbers. So if you remember 2, 3, 5, 7, you can pretty much work out any number up to 100, which is really, really useful if you're getting stuck with what the highest common factor. So my hint to people with this is make sure that you divide it all by the 2s first. So keep dividing by 2 as long as you can, then divide it by 3 as much as you can, then divide it by 5, and then divide by 7. If you do that, if you don't know your times table so well, you will always get those highest common factors down as quick as possible, which is really, really, really useful. So steps to create a prime list of prime numbers. First, make a list of the numbers from 2 to a chosen number. Start with the first number, which is 2. And then this is the prime number. And then remove all the numbers that can be divided by 2 from the list, except for 2, obviously, itself. And then these are not prime numbers. So those are composite numbers. And then find the next number that hasn't been taken away. And this is another prime number. And then keep doing these steps 3 and 4 until you've checked the numbers in the list. Now, once you're finished with that, that should hopefully sieve that out. So my first challenge to you is just to pause the video and then use the sieve on the numbers from 1 to 30 and see if you can work out what it is. So we'll just pause the video there. Cool. So what you should have worked out, 1, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, and 30. Sorry, 1 is a weird number as well, so it's not considered a prime number, so we always cross that out. Then we would go through your 3s, so 9, 15, 27, and the last one you would do your 5s, and then with the 7s, that's not even going to handle it. Now, there is a bit of a cool little bit of Python code that I've actually built here, which might be useful and interesting. So let's open that up. So I'm going to open up idle, and I'm going to make a new file. And I'm not going to type this out. I'm just going to do a nice good old copy paste. And if we want to work out all the numbers up to 30, we can run this. And we'll call that test on. And then there's the first 30 prime numbers, which is kind of cool. So then I can change this to the first 300 prime numbers. And this is the sieve and the algorithm that we just did before. I can then do the first 3,000 prime numbers. And we can see that there's some pretty cool little patterns. Let's see if we can break it with 30,000. And we'll run that. No, way too big. Cool. So we can definitely get up to 3,000. I reckon we can get up to 10,000 though. Let's see if that works. No. Let's try the first 5,000 prime numbers. There we go. Cool. So that's another thing that might be useful or interesting that you want to play around with and see if that code works. I'll be down in the comments down below if you want to play with it. So what are factors then? So factors are numbers that we simply multiply together to make a bigger number. So for example, the factors of 36, if we broke it down, there would be 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, and that's pretty much it. Now my hint to use is use the sieve. So start with, if it's an even number, divided by 2, then 3. And then what should happen is eventually then when you're dividing it by those numbers, you'll get the numbers really close to each other. And then when they're close to each other, you've exhausted and founded all those factors. So for example, in this case here, the factors for 36 was 2, 3, 4, 9, 12, and 18. So fill in these factors. So have a look here. Just pause the video and see how you go. Awesome. So what you should have found with this one here is 5 times 2 is 10. Then you had 2 times 3 is equal to 6. 3 times 3 gives you 9. Or you could have done 9 times 1 as well. And then if you had 10a, that's the same as 10 times a. And then 18b is the same as 18 times b. And then 4x, I mixed up, did 2 and 2x. You could have done 4 and 1x. You could have done 4x and 1. There's a whole heap of different factors that you could have sort of merged those together. So the highest common factor when we deal with that is to find the biggest factor that can be divided into 2 or more numbers exactly. So if you have the number 6 and 4, the highest common factor that can go into both of these numbers, or the biggest number that you can divide into them, is the 2. So you can divide 6 by 2 and you can divide 4 by 2. So you can't divide 6 by 4 and you can't divide 4 by 6. But if we can think about it, we should be able to look at those two numbers and think, okay, what's the biggest thing that can go into both of them? So next one, if we had the highest common factor of 8 and 4, this one should be a little bit easier because this is the times table of this one. So it is just 4. If we had to then go off and find the highest common factor of 10 and 15, so the largest number that can go into both of those numbers, that would be 5. Then if we went into the next one, highest common factor of 10a and 15a. So this is a little bit tricky because we've got a variable in here, but it's exactly the same for the number. So it's 5, but then they both have an a, so you could rip an a out of both of them. So list all the factors of the pairs and the numbers and then circle the highest common factor. So just pause the video and see how you go. So for the first one, 10 and 20. So you can have 1, 10, 2, and 5. Then you can have 1, 20, 2, 10, 4, and 5. So the highest common factor between both these numbers is 10. So that's what happens when you write out the list first. Then for this one, 6b and 9b, all the different options that you can have for 6b, you can have b times 6, you can have 2b times 3, 3b times 2, and then 6b times 1. And then for 9b, you can have b and times 9, 3b times 3, and then 9b times 1. But then the highest common factor between both of these is the 3b. Then for the last one, 5xy, so you can have 5 times xy, 5x times y, 5y times x, and then 5xy times 1. Or for 15y, you can have y 15, 3y 5, 5y 3, 15y, and 1. So you can have a 5y between the two of them. Cool. So the next one, if we want to do the highest common factor of 100 and 125, so this gets a little bit harder. If you know your times tables, you should see that there's some sort of pattern there. It's definitely going to involve 5 in some way. So you can divide both of those by 5 and then divide them by 5 again, which is then the same as dividing it just straight away by 25. So if you do get stuck, you can always use this sieve. So can I divide them both by 2? No. Can I divide them both by 3? No. Can I divide them both by 5? Absolutely. And you did that to both of them. So you would have had 20 and then 25. And then obviously if you had 20 and 25, you can divide them by 5 again, which gives you 4 and 5, which means you can't do much more. Highest common factor is 72 and 120. So same process. If you look at both of those, they're both even numbers, so you can divide them both by 2. But you can actually divide them by 24 if you kept dividing by 2 3 times. So you can divide by 2 and then divide by 2, and then you can divide by 3 as well. Cool. So that's basically it. So with this one here, I'll list the factors of 20 and 12. So factors of 20, 1, 20, 2, 10, 4, and 5. Factors of 12 is 1, 12, 2, 6, 3, and 4. So then the highest common factor of this one here, 12 and 18 would be 6. Then 15 and 25 would give you 5. Highest common factor of the following pairs, so 15 and 10x would give you 5. 20a and 12b would give you 4. 27a and 9b would give you just 9 because a and the b don't have anything in common. So pause the video, have a go at this one. So find the highest common factor of the following pairs of numbers, 40 and 60, that would be 20. 24 and 10 would give you 2. Highest common factor of 7xy and 14x would be 7x. Negative 2yz and 4xy would give you 2y. 11xy and negative 33xy would give you just 11xy. Cool. So there's a homework that's attached to that with the Dr. First. And yeah. So that's it from me. Hopefully you've picked up some things on how to use the highest common factor, which will hopefully give you the skill set to lean into this when we get into some harder stuff. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments down below. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, and also hit that notification button so you can get more notifications when new videos and content comes out. That's it from me. Thanks again for watching. And yeah, see you next time on Steaming with Steve. Adios.